working with facial muscles and Botox is really like working with a symptom as opposed to the root cause. The answer with Botox is, well, let's just stop this muscle from moving. We should be able to move our eyebrows.
If anyone is watching this and you have had an adverse effect, will you put it in the comments below? Today, we're going to be talking about neuromodulators, which Botox is actually a brand of a neuromodulator. We're going to be talking about some of the injectables, like what's going on here. And I have the privilege of being here with Nicholle Roberson. I get to go to Jacksonville sometimes and actually get facials. I've learned so much from Nikki. And Nikki, I want to thank you for being here with us and honestly just kind of changing my thought process of how I want my future to play out. If you will talk to us a little bit about some of the things going on with Botox use, as far as, the effects that it can have on us in the future. And, we had just gotten through talking about a lot of things. So I want to share that with the viewers.
Let's first talk about, why do people think they need Botox? Like, what's happening in the facial structure that is causing people to do that? Quite often, we get tightness in the trapezius muscle in the back, and because of forward head posture. Every inch that your face goes forward, your head goes forward, is an additional 10 pounds of weight on the back of the neck. Over time, this tightens up the muscles, the scalp, the muscle that comes from your eyebrows and connects to the back of the head is the muscle that causes the wrinkles on the forehead. And what happens is we have this center part that is very fascially dense, and it gets tight as the head goes forward. And so then when we have the second part of the problem, which is raising eyebrows a lot repeatedly, it causes the forehead to accordion because it's meeting this tightness up through here. So the answer with Botox is, well, let's just stop this muscle from moving. We'll inject it so that it doesn't respond, or the neurotransmitter doesn't get to send those messages. The root of the problem there is, yes, it might stop that muscle from working, but then we have other issues that happen. We are still having forward head posture. We're still having a lack of movement in the muscle up through here. And when you have lack of movement in the muscle, you have to understand that muscles are dense with fascia. They have muscle fascia going through them and around them. And so when you stop the muscle from moving, we also affect the fascia, and the fascia stops being as mobile. And fascia loves hydration. And when fascia slows down in its movement, in its mobility, it starts to get sticky, and we have less space in between the tissues. So then we lose circulation, or it slows down. We have less detoxification because lymphatics can't flow through there. And over time, the muscle actually does atrophy. Now, one of the studies that has come out shows that when the muscles are injected, because of muscle fascia, even the smallest dosage can travel from that muscle to surrounding muscles. And that can cause a decrease in the movement of those muscles as well, and atrophy of those muscles. So you're pinpointing this, but you're affecting something over here. And that's been something that's been common, that people have said that, oh, I had Botox in through here, but now I'm feeling things over here as well. The other thing that can be affected by Botox is when I'm looking at you and you're expressing back to me, that message goes to the eyes, to the brains, and then my muscles react accordingly. So if you're doing this, I often will respond that way. And what that does is that movement triggers an emotion within the forehead. and allows you to have better understanding of what that person is trying to communicate. And also your own communication is impacted. We should be able to move our eyebrows when we need to so that we can experience the emotions that those eyebrows are trying to give. Now, I'm saying we don't have to do it all the time, but like in extreme cases, when you want to experience that, it's important for the body to have that understanding. So it affects your understanding, it affects your ability to feel and express emotions. Also, there's adverse effects from Botox as far as there's injection site issues, migraine headaches, there's paralysis, and they vary in the percentages of how often they happen. But the problem is the reporting of the adverse effects. Usually, if somebody has an adverse effect in the United States, they report to the NIH, National Institute of Health, or the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, as to the adverse effects that they had. So NIH is if there was kind of like there's an adverse effect, but there weren't issues with the injector or the quality of the drug. The CDC is more where it's reported that there was an issue with the Botox sample itself, or maybe the injectors are not qualified and there's issues with the way they're doing it. So people don't understand where to report their adverse effects to Botox. And it's interesting because I went down a rabbit hole trying to find adverse effects reported in the United States. It was very challenging to find that. And then I came across a study in Britain, where in Britain they have their own way of reporting Botox adverse effects. What they did was they put out on social media, what was your response to Botox? Respond to this outreach. And the result was almost 700 people responded. And in the cases where they went all the way through the questionnaire, 79% of the people experienced an adverse effect. And the problem as to why they weren't reporting it is they didn't understand that they, number one, could report it, number two, where to report it. So we have a problem with reporting what's happening out there. We have a problem with it spreading to surrounding tissues. We have a problem with it affecting emotional responses. We have a problem with it causing muscle atrophy over time.
So I want to say, if anyone is watching this and you have had an adverse effect, will you put it in the comments below? Because when I get on other people's YouTubes, I usually read the comments, just kind of see what's going on. And I would like to know, what's going on around us. The thing that bothers me the most is that my daughter is 25 and a lot of her friends have already started doing it.
Yeah.
So we're doing it super young. The other thing with that, which, if this is something you have chosen to do, this is not a guilt trip. The purpose of this is for you to make an informed decision. And that, once we've been educated, do what you want. But, if I'm going to go into surgery or I'm going to take some medication, I'm going to do my own research and I want to be able to make that informed decision. So that is what this is about.
It's very hard to find these types of answers because you have to be able to understand what are the right questions to ask. Like, for example, for me, I understand muscle, I understand fascia and the interconnectedness of it. And when I was researching the muscle question, things didn't come up. But when I started researching fascia and muscle fascia, that's where all of the information about the research and how it impacts everything surrounding it and the fascia effects, the fascial effects of it.
Well, as a nutrition and wellness coach, that was something that I did do a lot of research on because when I turned 50, that was going to be my gift to myself. And fortunately, that was about the time that I found you. And so I headed in a different direction. And by the way, I did a poor job at introducing you and what how do we know that we can
Trust me.
trust what you're saying? But Nikki is an esthetician, and I would say you're a holistic esthetician, correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yes, I'm a holistic esthetician. I'm a holistic health coach. I'm certified in facial work, inner mouth massage, gua sha, facial cupping, anything to do with the face. I have extended certifications in working with the neck and the face. And as I've worked with my clients and come to understand how fascia works, how the muscles work, how just our habits impact our face, it's become clear to me that working with facial muscles and Botox is really like working with a symptom as opposed to the root cause.
yes.
And I'm always looking when I'm trying to help my clients, I want to educate them on the root cause of the issues so that they can address that and have more vibrant skin, vibrant health, and get to the things that they can do at home to work on that.
And again, like I don't want this anything to come across as judgmental. This is just kind of my perspective and how I feel. But I don't want people to take on this like we have to feel bad because we look our age. You know,
Mhm.
we've become a society that we need to be ageless, but we weren't designed to look 25 at 50. Now, there are vibrant, sure, right? So that's what my goal is to be vibrant, to not look tired. And as I have talked through that with you several times, I don't want to look tired. I don't want to look mad because a lot of times when this droops, that is exactly what it can cause. And some people will get that mini facelift for that reason. So you have taught me that I can do things to prevent that, which is super exciting. And I do a little 5 minute every night. And it's so easy because my husband and I've made a conscious decision to sit. I don't like to sit. Well, I have to sit and, just like do nothing for some period of time because I could just work, 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 work. And I'll do my facial exercises while we're watching a movie.
Mhm.
So it's like make the best of both, times and,
Yes,
and do that. And,
yes.
and it's very, so one thing that you taught me was for the cheek exercise, and I'm just going to show it real quick because
Mhm.
and I couldn't do it when I first started doing it. I had to go like there was like hold your, whatever, have to train it. And I'll talk to some of my friends and I'll be like, well, just do this. And they'll be like, I can't do that. Like you got to
Yeah.
train that muscle. You got to get that muscle to work just like your body.
Well,
You
that's it exactly. I do not understand why physical health ends at the collarbone. It really is ridiculous. The mobility of the neck and health of, there are so many muscles in the back of the neck and the side of the neck, and then the health of the shoulders to bring them back. And I just don't understand it. But person after person, I have a lot of very physically fit people that come in to see me. And person after person has extremely tight trapezoid, extremely tight SCM muscles. These muscles go up and attach just kind of behind the ear, but then they have fascial fibers that come up above the ears. And your temporalis muscle comes from the side of the eye and goes above the ear. And it's very dense in fascial fibers. So when you're having forward head posture, this all becomes tight, which then as you start to respond, you get crow's feet through here because of that. Forward head posture causes tightness up through here. This is extremely fascially tight here. And so then you're moving your eyes. And like I said before, you get that accordion effect. But it's not just like wrinkles. When this tightens up, we get less circulation, we get less lymphatic fluid flow through there. It can impact your hearing, it can impact your eyesight because your nerve endings or your nerves for your eyes are in the back there and behind the bottom base of the skull. So it's not just about the wrinkles, it's about total health and staying vibrant with all of your faculties. So if you focus on, just like you focus on working your bicep, you want to focus on working your tongue, so that you get good movement in through your TMJ joint. But I go on and on. I mean, that's what it is if you can understand your face and how everything works in your face and your neck, as well as you do with working your body, the aging is going to be slowed down significantly. Aging is, in my opinion, aging is lack of mobility of the tissues, which affects circulation, lymphatic fluid flow. You affect circulation, then you're not going to get hydration, delivery of nutrients, and oxygenation. Without those things, that's when things start to age and break down.
Well, the
That's
good news
that's it.
is there are things that we can do about it. And as I started, working on this tension, I could not believe how sore my scalp was. And as I would just work with the tools, it really felt good and relieving, just like when you get a massage, sometimes I
Yes.
say it hurts so good.
Yeah.
And then I would come up in here and it was almost numb. So I'm not having that effect anymore. And
Mm.
even though I have 11s, which I'm working on that, but I'm 54 and my eyebrow is in a good position, and I probably look somewhat my age, but I'm okay with that because there's no deep, you know, I don't know. I don't feel like I look tired. At least not
No,
today.
no, it's great. It's great. It was interesting. I have a 7.5-month-old grandson, and he already, like when he opens his eyes wide, his forehead will get, little wrinkles in through there. The back of his neck's not tight. The top of his head is not like holding that there. And so, when he stops making the face, it goes away. But I think also what we have to address is, are we really tired? Is that why we're starting to do more express with our eyebrows and with our forehead? I feel like that is part of the problem too, that people are very stressed, so they tend to,
You're right.
shoulders forward, head forward. Like I can barely keep my eyes open because I'm so tired. And so if you start getting the Botox, it might stop that. But then how about your awareness of where you are in your life? That's key information to make change.
It's such a good point because that is one of the things that I share with my clients is first of all, we need to listen to our body because your body is telling you what you need to do and the changes that need to take place. And so that's such a good point. Like, what's going on in the face? Let's address those underlying issues and shut them down. And
Mhm.
it's just, it's exciting, to know that we can do that. We were designed to tune in to our body.
Yes.
So it's a good thing. So many people, they don't remember, like we forget that. And we
Yeah.
just need that reminder. So those things that we need to work on, it's like, what's going on? Let's just take care of it. So I would like for you to share because there's a lot out there. There's tons of tools. And by the way, through the years before I met you, and I wasn't really sure. I was kind of grasping at everything, and I
Sure.
would spend a lot of money on lotions that
Yeah.
they had empty promises. Let's just say that they
Mhm.
had empty promises. It never was in a lotion or a
No,
moisturizer. It
it's
just
not.
never was. But tell us three, let's just break it down. Three basic, I know it's hard because there's so many out there, but if someone wanted to get started today, what are the three things that you would recommend? I know that, I've heard more than anything that the thing that will tell your age the most is the triangle.
Mhm.
I kind of disagree because I've had an issue with my eyes. And so I feel like it's the eyes, but that could just be me because of what I have experienced.
Mhm.
But tell us three tools or three things that someone could do today to get started making a difference with what's going on. And I know that they can do the exercises, which they can find on your Instagram and your YouTube, which I'll put a link in the description below. So they can already be doing those. I know that they call it face hit, there's face yoga. I know they can do those, but actual tools to help.
Sure, sure. Well, I love facial cupping. Facial cupping is amazing because facial cupping creates a negative pressure, which then creates more space between the tissues. It's almost like, like a slinky. It opens up the slinky, and now the fascia that was tight in there, maybe because of repetitive motion or because of trauma, kind of lets go and then can reestablish its connectivity. And then now we get better blood flow, better lymphatic drainage. So, facial cupping. It's an ancient Chinese secret. It's Chinese medicine. So I feel like facial cupping is extremely powerful. I also feel like gua sha is very powerful too when it's done in the proper manner. And when it's done properly, the term gua sha actually comes from to redden. And so when it's properly done, you're basically working on the tissue until you make it red. And it's releasing the fascia, releasing the chi in the skin, warming it up, heating it up. So a lot of people like to do gua sha. You can work your collarbones, you can work the jawline. It's a great cheap tool that you can do every day. So gua sha is amazing. I think that is a very valuable tool. God, it's gonna be hard for me to just narrow it down because I like to use a lot of tools. So now I'm sitting here thinking, what is the next most important tool? Because you got red light therapy, you have microcurrent, um, but I do love beauty balloon tools. So beauty balloon tools, I got them right here. Beauty balloon tools you use inside your mouth, and they work your tongue, the lips, and the cheek. And they aid with strengthening the muscles and creating symmetry and working out tightness. So, say you have tight lips, which quite often is one of the root causes of nasolabial folds, you stick the cool in and work that. You want to work your jawline. There's exercises where you and it works your hyoid muscle. I would have to say this is my third favorite because I do this every day and it helps with the symmetry all over the face, tongue, the lips, cheeks, um, the neck. That would be my third favorite.
Okay.
I also love microcurrent and LED, but if you have tight fascia, if you don't have strong muscles, those things are
Secondary.
important. Yeah.
Right. Get that first, get that right, and then that can be it's just like supplements, right? Well, we've got to get the nutrition through the food first, and then the supplements can help support. So kind of like that. I like it. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I will put links in the description below. so that they can get these things and get started. And I'll also put your information in the description below so that they can go and watch, because honestly, if you just get on your Instagram and every night you just do one, just do one, just do one.
Mhm.
And your before and afters are on there, which are absolutely amazing.
It just keeps getting better. I'm
It
just
does. And,
amazed.
I can tell. I can totally tell.
Um,
Your jawline's great. And it's just, you're glowing, of course. And there's one tool that I'm about ready to order, and it's new to me. I just saw your video the other day, and that's the roller. Does it have
the
another name?
Face Fit roller. Face
Face
Fit,
Fit
I think
roller.
it's Face Fit Canada roller. I use prickly pear for everything because it's a very nourishing oil, but then it does eventually, or it provides good slip. It takes a while for it to penetrate, but once it does, it's fantastic. And it's great for hyperpigmentation and moisturization. It's a really good oil. So this is the Face Fit Roller, and this is one version of it. This is the handle. There's another version that has a handle over here, and then there's a smaller version specifically for the eye area. But I'm just going to show you on my neck because I've got makeup on. So you hold, and you're constantly turning the drum. So you work your way up. And usually you'll do 6 in each spot. When you're working the neck, before you move up to the face, you come down and that works the lymphatic fluid down. And then you work up the face, across the face, under the eyes, over the eyes, up the forehead, away from the mouth, which feels amazing. I never thought that like working away from the mouth would feel so good, but it's wonderful. And then down the chin. It's a great tool. I used to use another fascia device, but I like this one better because it goes with the direction of the muscles instead of a back and forth, which um, I don't know is necessarily the best thing for fascia.
I like to save time. So it takes 5 minutes, and it would take me longer than that to drive somewhere to get something done. And it also saves a ton of money. You could get so many tools for the cost of one session of Botox.
Yeah.
And we're also saving our future.
Yeah. Yeah, you can buy
Saving
all
our
the
future
tools we
self.
talked about, the facial cupping, a gua sha tool, a face fit roller, and you're still probably about half the cost of a Botox session.
Amazing. That's amazing. I always think in those terms because then I'm like, I feel good about buying this product. It's a
Uh,
fraction of the cost, and
it's
it's going
self
to be good
love.
for me.
I mean the length of use that you get out of these tools, like if you buy a LED light, lasts forever.
Right.
Your microcurrent, I mean, if you do it with conductive gloves, then you don't ever have to buy conductive gel. So there's ways around it. And I love all of those tools, and I use all of those tools on a regular basis.
Well, I hope that you guys have appreciated this information, and please leave some comments because I love to read your comments and know that you're here. And again, Nikki, I want to thank you for taking the time out to do this with us. And if you guys would please do the things to help support my channel, which is subscribe, share this information with others that you know need to hear it. I would greatly appreciate it. And you guys have a great day.